everyone, and welcome back to Scribe Plays Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. In the previous episode, we were a disaffected and sort of overdramatic artist, and we found a patron of the arts there at a gallery with our sister, and then we were seduced away off to a mysterious apartment where we were turned into a vampire and given a victim to feed upon, who we promptly killed, apparently. Then a mysterious stranger took us along and put us into a safe room, where we are currently housed until the next stage in our story. This is obviously turning into more of a visual novel than anything else, as you might have noticed, given the amount of reading I had to do and will continue to do for this. But it's bumbled into the vampire setting, as I'm familiar with it, but we'll see how much further it goes. So with that being said, let us take ourselves back and see where we left off. You are so tired. Your entire body tenses up, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. Okay, would anybody really be that stupid at this point? You pull the cork out. The cork? Okay. Thought it was like a plastic bag. You take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Oh boy, what do? Do I put the bag back or drink the blood? Of course I drink the blood. It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes bland, reminds you of cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be on the box, but nothing like the real thing. Nothing like what you had the last time. You swallow it. Somehow you don't feel sick. In a weird, messed up way, you can't help but think it feels nourishing. You take a few more sips, and then just another one. Suck on the bag a little more. Eventually, you find that you've emptied it entirely. You look at the info pressed on the side of the bag, 450 milliliters of it. Even with its blandness, you still feel like having more. You realize your body longs for that intoxication high you felt when... Intoxication high? Maybe intoxicating high? That's the English major speaking. An image of that corpse crosses your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? Well, you become the kind of person that thinks back to a dead body as a corpse and not as a young woman. You try to piece your thoughts together, make sense of it all, when you hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tanned hawk, maybe. Sorry, tamed. Is my eyesight going? Probably. Good evening. Slept well? He notices the discarded, empty bag. I see you had a bit of a snack. Yeah, let's try to get some lore out of this guy. Am I still human? Am I still a human being? Luckily, one does not typically shed their entire humanity in 2 nights. You should be fine. It's not quite the question I asked, but all right. Come on, we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you've spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face. Rush the stranger, get inside the car, hijack the car. I don't know, how suicidal am I? No, I'm going to get inside the car. Well, this is the point at which I'm kind of like, how am I role-playing this? I'm role-playing somebody that just killed someone. I know that I'm dead. I don't know what's going on. This guy scares me. Yeah, I'm going to get inside the car. If I ever play this again, playing a Bruja, in that case, maybe I'll do the more adversarial actions just on the basis of that kind of mentality. But for now, I'm going to comply. Okay, lead the way. After you. You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming and the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There is nothing left to do but wait. Oh, so I'm in like a limo kind of thing? Huh. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. We just said that bit in the safe room. So, does this happen whether or not you drank from the blood bag? You try to extract some information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you'd prefer to bask in the afterglow of your last meal. Okay. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spent the rest of the trip lost in your thoughts. A lot of them concern blood. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your let me try that again. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That much is certain. Queens, maybe. Wait, you know exactly where you are. The nice-looking 2-story building has a logo you immediately recognize. Is it Amazon? I'm trying to see if the artwork tells us. I can't tell. The Art Hole. Okay. The Art Hole, an avant-garde gallery. Used to hold that collection of bagged viscera and body parts by... You can't quite remember the guy's name. He's Brazilian, you think. Fabio something or other. Okay. After me. No sudden movements, please. You've never been inside. Not quite your style, but the place has quite the cult following. You keep racking your brain for more facts, hoping they'll help you with whatever you got into. Racking your brain. Is that the right formation of racking? Because when I think racking of brain, I think of W-R-A-C-K-I-N-G. Racking your brain. 2 large men in suits flank the door to the gallery on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger who guides you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. Looks pretty empty to me. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. Ooh, is this Elysium? We'll find out. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite. Unnaturally so. Yeah, probably Elysium. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. Memories come back to you like a bad case of PTSD. How many times before someone had How many times before had someone judged you, impassively or decisively, through your art? You'd share a piece of yourself with the world, and it'd respond by making you feel like garbage. It always took a lot of effort to not lose your cool and tell all of them to shove it. Oh, I'm starting to write this story for myself now. It always took a lot of effort to not lose your cool and tell all of them to shove their opinions up their collective asses. Now, looking around, it feels like you've become another artwork as a commodity to be judged by a bunch of obscenely wealthy, out-of-touch assholes. It makes you want to scream. I'm getting a little sick of how much my character can't get over himself. Good evening, Kadir, and to you, child. Kadir? Was he an Assamite? The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. I'm a polite individual. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, child of Michaela. Now, Michaela, I think I remember that character's name from my old lore, but I think this is a new character for me. Because I think, wasn't Calibros the Prince of New York last? Something like that, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. Okay, so she's the Prince of the city, Prince Panhard, and Kadir is the sheriff. Now, I'm assuming Kadir based on his name, and I could be mistaken. Maybe I'm just being biased. Kadir might be an Assamite, or a child of Hakim, depending on how you look at it. Let's see, Michaela, I believe, was a Toreador, so our prince here is probably also a Toreador, if my memory serves. And if Kadir is an Assamite, yeah, okay. So, and for those of you that don't know, the Assamites, if they don't tell us in the game, are a clan of vampires who, in a derogatory way, they're the clan of assassins. That's what they're most known for. They sort of like get hired out to kill other vampires usually, or to take on other such contracts. I don't know what the current lore regarding their curse is, which had a lot to do with how they practice their business, but we'll find out. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. Yeah, if the person there created this child without your permission, you should destroy this child right now, unless you're going to give some kind of amazing grant of mercy for some reason. But then I don't know what the mechanisms are behind all of this. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. Yeah, that's one of the that's one of the laws of the Camarilla. I believe it's the accounting. You are responsible for every vampire you make until such time as they are released. And released is kind of a vague notion of they're ready to take care of themselves as a vampire. But the other thing, too, is you cannot create another without the permission of the elder. And the elder in the rules is classically interpreted as the prince of the city. So unless it was the prince of the city that gave your sire permission to embrace you and make you a vampire, then both you, the person who sired the child, and the child, your lives are forfeit, short of the prince's mercy. So what's the deal here? And then my question would still remain, was the shadowy figure we saw at the start of this, was that the prince giving permission, but off to the side for some reason? But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. I'll ask about my sire. Wait, my sire? You mean the man I met at the gallery? That's one of the things we're here to ascertain. You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Fledgling, a term for a newly made vampire. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? Yeah, pretty much. A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of one of the clan of the Rose for the embrace. They were even thoughtful enough to leave a local woman for the fledgling to slake his thirst on. The clan of the Rose would be the Toreador. Despite some reservations, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. That's me. I'm compliant. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. His thirst partially slaked with the bagged blood we kept in the safe house, we had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. Yes, Elysium. An Elysium, it's usually a set location, but could be any particular location that's declared as such. It is a place where no violence between vampires may take place in a city. And you're effectively at the whims of the prince and or the prince's agents if you do break the rules there. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you to where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Yep, I'm in the compliant mode, so I'll say a beautiful man. I guess he was. He was beautiful, charismatic, charming, dark hair, a sort of artistic mess, had an accent I couldn't recognize. He took notice of my art, bought a piece, in fact. I want to meet him again. The last sentence came out almost involuntarily. You immediately feel ashamed, sounding like a sad puppy whimpering after their master. Yes, you do want to meet that man again. It's an urge deeper than you've ever felt. Maybe even love? Nah, just the blood bond. No, that's idiotic. He never even introduced himself to you. He used you. That asshole just plain used you. For what? Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. He bought my painting. You can track him. That guy. He bought my painting at the gallery. Didn't pay in cash, I think. Maybe you can track him that way? Oh? Did your outlook on him change all of a sudden? He smirks, seemingly enjoying your misery. Yeah, well, if the rules are still the same, a one-step blood bond makes you very amenable to someone, but it doesn't make you out-and-out their slave. That takes 3 steps in the blood bond. Personal jabs aside, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? She's passing the buck. The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. There you go. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Okay, so... Interesting. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Interesting. Prince doesn't usually go to the Primogen to discuss the destruction of someone on the basis of the traditions, but maybe this prince doesn't have quite the strongest hold on everything and wants to keep everyone on the same page, give everyone their say. The Primogen Council, if they bring it up here, they probably will. Generally speaking, in each major city, each clan is represented by an elder of a kind or whomever they've put up as their representative to the prince, And these individuals are then called Primogen, and then the Primogen Council becomes sort of the prince's advisors in the city on various subjects. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all of that talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie.
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
What for? She lowers her voice in response.
Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all.
Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. And a partridge in a pear tree. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you.
Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle.
Let's see. What was that about a sword? Yeah, I have a little bit of self-interest right now. Wait, did I hear that right? What did he say about a sword?
Your hearing isn't faulty. We only have a short while before the prince hears her counsel out and Kadir returns here with his blade. So listen, please. Last night, you became a vampire.
Wait, what?
Oh, yes. I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us.
You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most hold glasses of wine, quote unquote. No, not wine! That's not the right thickness. And not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat.
You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Kadir will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences.
Let's see. Well, what if I refuse? I think she made it pretty clear what happens if I refuse. So what happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes. What happens then?
You survive, hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me, like a child would a sire.
Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you.
When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition.
She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again.
Loyal kindred of New... Let me try that again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling.
She briefly addresses you.
I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat, although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before her, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is the progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Oh, that's right, he's a Mets fan. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. Oh, jeez. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy. You make your choice. I don't want to die. Spare me, please. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elite suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think they might hold a potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do not expect their full cooperation, of course. I do expect their full cooperation, of course. Whispers can be heard again. An incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes, but I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Oh, interesting. Right of destruction. That's basically a license to kill, because kindred in a city cannot kill one another without the prince's permission, and it's usually the prince or the sheriff that does the killing. So to grant the right of destruction to someone over their own child, or to someone else's child technically, not unheard of, but not technically standard. Let's see. I'm gonna remain silent because I want Sophie to do whatever she's gonna do. It's clear the tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known. Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. Irate Bear. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Scribe, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Scribe. Now, this evening proved to be more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Now we had a new word added to our dictionary. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And, if need be, you will be punished. Is that an F? Sorry, I just can't help. And that looks like a T to me. Oh well. If need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. No, I guess it's not a T. Okay, it's just a shortened looking F. Or the F is cut off by... Anyway. Well, Scribe, I think we both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. Is this where she blood bonds me to her now? She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges, who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the... Try that again. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges, who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. He pours it into 2 tall glasses. It's blood again. That much is clear. You're in 2 minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. You expected the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but this one you can actually savor. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. So do you like it? I think New York City caterers have very bourgeois ideas about what good blood should taste like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. And I think that's where I'll call it here for this episode. So we've attended Elysium, met the prince, survived destruction, and now we've been taken on by a patron who will take accounting for us. Interesting, although I have to wonder if this wasn't all arranged to begin with, but I'm sure time will tell as things proceed. Yes, this is a very mild choose-your-own-adventure visual novel so far. Not a lot of role-playing. Haven't done anything that might be a contest of chance yet, but maybe we'll get there. But with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of content, do let me know in the comments and do like the video. And with that, as always, thank you for watching.